everyone. Welcome back to the Indie Basketball Podcast. This is the podcast where indie rock meets the NBA's finest. And today we're having a one-on-one little ISO ball conversation with Andrew Dost of Fun and Anathallo. So thanks so much, man.
Thanks for having me. It's really an honor to talk about this stuff.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good time. I feel like I was actually suggested you from Nick Thorburn. He said you would be into this.
I'm so into it. I'm so into Nick. He's such an awesome dude. Like, he's so great in every possible conceivable way.
He is a very, very unique person. He was a fun one to have on for sure. Back to Nick briefly. He connected me to my like LA basketball universe of like his kind of basketball pickup scene, and where I made a lot of good friends and played a lot of good hoops out in LA when I was living there. So nice. Are you in Michigan now?
Basketball-wise. I am in Michigan. Yeah. I moved back kind of mid-pandemic because we weren't really sure how long it was going to last. And so this is where I grew up. Kind of was missing it, had a cabin that I was remodeling here. And then I thought, let's just finish the remodel and see where life takes us. And now here we are in 2022. And we've been through now 2 different championships. I think when we moved back, it was still bubble playoffs.
Yes. Oh man. Bubble playoffs were so fun.
They were so good. And Jimmy, like, I hated Jimmy Butler until then and like fell in love with him. And now I'm kind of rooting for them and, against the Sixers. Yeah. It's really, it was fun. I enjoyed that a lot. That was really cool.
That series, that Heat and Sixers series was going to look like it was going to be kind of boring with Embiid out. But then when he came back with the mask for last night, I'm like, oh, this got really interesting.
Yeah, it was so fun. And I love the, like, I don't remember him wearing a mask before, but was it that thick, like black plastic one, or was it clear, like Rip Hamilton style? It was the black one. Yeah. It was. Okay, cool. Yeah, it looked so awesome.
Looking.
Yeah, it was sweet. And like he played like maybe not amazingly, but like when I was watching, he had several crucial buckets and like stop, like he had a block towards the end. And like he was doing everything he needed to do. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So you're in Michigan. You said you're working on a new album?
Yeah, I'm working on an album. I've been calling it a bossa nova album, but it's not really that. It's just got like that was kind of what kickstarted it. Is I got really into bossa nova and taught myself some chords and whatever. And I don't know. It was like during the pandemic, it was kind of the only thing that soothed my soul a little bit, like putting on some like, I don't know, João Gilberto and just listening, these pleasing mellow sounds. And then after a while I was like, I want to learn how to play this. And then I was like, oh, I'm writing songs again. Like I haven't done this in years. Like songs don't really flow that easily to me anymore. Mm-hmm. And so once it kind of started happening naturally, it was kind of a really unusual good feeling to be like, oh, I'm writing a song. This is crazy. Yeah. And then that turned into the full album.
Awesome. Yeah. It's too, with you play many an instrument. I feel like that can lend itself into a genre like bossa nova quite easily.
Yeah, totally. There's so many different like I think mostly it's rooted in the classical guitar, but like some brass and some strings and some piano, and like it all kind of, there's an interplay there that hopefully has some kind of a richness, even though like now once you hear this album, you're going to be like, this isn't bossa nova. What are you talking about? Yeah. But like that was where it started. That's like where a lot of kind of the melodic foundations and chordal foundations started. For
sure. Yeah, it's got to like I don't know if you've ever seen the movie La La Land, where
I love La La Land.
Yeah, it's great. But and then with John Legend's character, when he talks about, he's like, yeah, we're changing jazz, and I'm like, but your band doesn't really sound like jazz anymore.
Right. Yeah. That's a pop band, man.
Yeah. That's straight up pop.
But those traditions in the background and stuff, like I wanted to really kind of like take it seriously when I was learning it. So I at least wasn't just like I don't know, like pretending to do something that I didn't really have any idea about.
That's cool. It's very cool. And that's going to be a solo record.
Yeah. I'm not going to call it my name, I don't think, but I've got a couple band names that when I tell people what I'm thinking about, they're like, that's awful. Don't call your band that, please.
You always got the list in your pocket for something.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Cool.
What is your hat? What is the W?
Oh, this is the Washington Senators.
Cool. Okay.
Which is actually currently the Twins. So that would go back.
Okay.
The Harmon Killebrew days. Gotcha.
I'm also a
It
huge
was
baseball fan, so
cool. It was that kind of sans serif font back then.
it was just very straightforward. It's just like very plain, but I think it just like looks so cool.
Cool. That's great. Yeah, because I'm into this artist, Tyrell Winston, and I feel like that could almost be a Tyrell Winston hat.
I think so. I think I saw a buddy of mine wear a hat, and I'm like, is that a senator's hat? But it's more of a serif W.
Yeah, totally. It's a little thinner.
It's a little
and it has
taller.
serifs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's exactly. All right. We're thinking the same exact thing then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, you got your solo record you're working on. Are you also working on any fun music?
No, that project is pretty out of commission.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yep. No updates on that front.
Cool. And then I know you started in Anathallo, which I'm a huge fan of, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Crazy.
I mean,
wow.
I'm in Chicago, so I feel like
sure.
There was like a bit of a local scene. I know it's in Michigan and then moved to Chicago where you kind of left the band around that time, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But very much a Midwestern thing for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. I have a bunch of friends who kind of showed me it long ago, and
cool.
Yeah, definitely big Anathallo fan.
Awesome. That's very cool.
When you ended up joining Fun, how did you guys kind of meet? Were you just is it just from playing with each other a bunch?
Yeah, we had toured together. My manager at the time was Nate's manager of the format. Mm-hmm. And so he wanted our kind of horn section he wanted us to open for them so our horn section could play with them. So I was a flugelhorn and keyboard. And so I started doing some arrangements for them live on the road. And then Nate and I wrote a song together on that tour. And we were just kind of like, oh, I'd like to work with that guy at some point. And then, so I started touring as a member of the format once I parted ways with Anathallo. And then once they kind of fell apart, Nate called me and Jack and was just like, let's all meet in New York and see what happens. And so we all got, Nate and I got one-way tickets to New York and stayed at Jack's parents' house and then kind of never left.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Very cool. And I know we were talking earlier about, how you and Nick and playing basketball and talking basketball with him. Are there other people that in, I guess, music? Because usually when I find people, there's like one person in kind of the band here and there that they're the basketball person, because it's not as common.
Right. Go ahead. Nate from Fun is more of a basketball guy than I am. Or at least at the time, like he probably still is. He's probably still more NBA obsessive than I am, where like I like it a lot, but I don't know. I feel like you need years of knowledge and history to really talk basketball on a comprehensive, deep level. Like he used to follow like Brian Colangelo and his dealings and his moves. And like, he was like, I've moved beyond being a fan of a player. I'm a fan of like GM. And like, this is like the moves that he makes. And like, he knows not just like what's going on, but he knows like the history of who was doing what in college and high school and whatever. Like he goes real deep in ways that like, I just don't always have the bandwidth for. So I kind of dip in and out of that, like where when playoffs are on, like, yes, I'm reading every day, constantly trying to deepen, my own fun, but like, he's like off-season draft. He goes far deeper than I do.
Yeah. A lot of people, I feel like, if they have a basketball podcast, they would consider themselves an expert, but I am definitely by no means an expert. I'm just a fan. So
sure. Yeah. I mean, and both, there's room for everybody, I think. Totally. Like there's room for like, I don't know, like a friend of mine here that I talk basketball with that just like, he knows kind of like Giannis and LeBron, and that's cool. Like, what more do you need to know? Like, you got the two probably arguably best, maybe not.
But I mean, it's exciting, honestly, that they can throw Giannis out there just because like that's like the next generation.
True. Yeah. He's like moved beyond like Kobe or whatever. I guess, not that anyone ever will move beyond Kobe, but
some people are like, they got LeBron and that's all they got,
True. I mean, Space Jam.
That's true. That's very true.
Some people have only seen Space Jam, which did you like Space Jam?
I like the first one.
Okay. I enjoyed the second one. I thought it was fun.
The second one is like, I don't have any kids. I know my nephews were obsessed with it. So like, that's, obviously it's a kids movie when it comes down to it. So that's what it's for. And they're the ones who really enjoyed it, which is awesome.
Yeah. Did you watch Uncle Drew?
I did not watch Uncle Drew, and you know
You
what?
gotta see
I
Uncle
really
Drew.
need to. I really
It's
need
so
to.
good. It's
just
really fun.
It's so funny to see them take like a Pepsi commercial and turn it into a movie.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
Although like I saw pre anti-vax Kyrie, and I guess it was post flat Earth Kyrie, but I think at the time it was still like, but he's a kooky guy.
It was like saging the court Kyrie.
Yeah.
Okay,
Which is like charming, you know.
Yeah,
kind
sure.
of. And
it's like,
now
I guess I can get into that. Yeah.
Yeah. It feels a little more malevolent in retrospect, but like
Kyrie is such a interesting case because he's like basketball skill, like one of the most talented I've ever seen play.
Oh yeah, he's like a savant. Yeah, totally.
Like I think he actually said something recently. He's like, I think I'm the closest to mastering the game of basketball. I'm like, saying that, sure, but like I honestly might kind of believe it based on your skill set. But yeah, he's a wild dude.
I had not heard that he said that. That is such a bizarre thing to say. You can't master the game. That's the beauty of basketball. Is like basketball in 1972 was different than it is now. It was like a completely different game.
Right. And that's when I get tired of the arguments of, the NBA 75 list really brought out the worst in me because people were seeing a lot of saying a lot of bad takes and just, there's a guy who's like Jamal Crawford should be on the list. And I'm like, he's good, but top 75
top of all time. Like there's such a recency bias for that too. Like I know. I haven't seen like Bob Cousy play. Like I've seen maybe like a grainy highlight here and there or whatever, but like, or John Havlicek or whatever, I don't know. I don't know. We don't know.
Sure. And it's funny you mentioned Bob Cousy. I don't know if you pay attention to JJ Redick and his podcast at all.
I don't. I should. I like JJ Redick.
JJ Redick is awesome. I feel like every day he says something that makes me more and more of a fan. But he was going at it on First Take with I forget what his name is, but basically saying that like, sure, Bob Cousy, but like there is a difference between one of the guys on First Take was saying Chris Paul is not one of the best point guards of all time, and big disagree there because he certainly is. Mm-hmm. But JJ Redick's takes, he always comes through, and I feel like he's good for the modern game of basketball as terms of analysts go.
I'll have to listen to it. I drive now. I teach now, and so I drive into work every day, and I've been kind of like, wondering if I should listen to podcasts instead of just like ESPN radio and Howard Stern. Because radio's tough. Been tough for me these days. Ever since I started listening to podcasts, it's been hard for me to stop. Yeah. I gotta get on. I gotta get into yours. I gotta get into JJ Redick's. Yeah. The only one I briefly dabbled in was Smartless. Okay. Listen to a couple of those. Okay. Yeah. Cool. So you grew up a Pistons fan then, yeah? I did. Yeah. I feel like we would have hated each other's guts if this was the 90s. Well, you got to respect as a Pistons fan in close proximity, there was still no way to not be a Bulls fan. Like you can't. I just am a fan of great players in general. You may have hated me for the bad boys or whatever, but like I wasn't old enough to like really know any better. So sure. I mean, I feel like a chump for like. I like Tom Brady. I like LeBron. Oh, sure. I love great players. I love when the Patriots were about to have a perfect season. I wanted that. Like, how often do you get to see that kind of greatness? I love it. You can hate the Warriors team from a couple of years ago, but it was kind of exciting to see them break that Bulls record. So fun. Yeah, it was awesome. And even better to watch LeBron come back. I was actually rooting for the Warriors going into that championship. I just like that was just an unforgettable series. So fun. Yeah. Cool. And that's my team. I'm rooting for the Warriors this year. I don't know who you got. But, I've turned around, I went from liking the Warriors to being way over the Warriors to now. Then they had last year, they pretty much just tanked because everyone was hurt. Right. And now they're coming back again. And I've also with Draymond Green where I haven't in the past, I haven't liked Draymond Green, but now I'm really understanding how valuable he is as a player. So I'm kind of coming around to Draymond, but then he had that thing in this series. Yeah, I don't like that stuff. I know. That's tough. I generally tend to agree with the things he says, and I love like his basketball IQ, and like I love like he can pass and facilitate and also plays such great he's awesome, but like then he'll like kick somebody in the crotch, and it's just like, what are you doing, man? Come on, like I'm trying to be a fan here.
Right. Yeah, I totally hear you on that. And there's also, it's been an intense playoffs. There was Gary Payton hurting his elbow on that play.
What a bummer.
And Embiid getting his eye socket broken, and it's been intense. There's been a lot of hard plays. One thing I noticed too is during the season, I think a lot of people were complaining, and basically no one plays defense. But once playoffs started, defense was hardcore.
Seriously, it's so aggressive. It's like intense to watch, because I'm just like, I want to see the freewheeling. Like I want the All-Star game. I don't necessarily want to see anybody catching an elbow in the eye socket or whatever.
Trying to get a 180 to 175 final.
Right. Yeah. Yesterday was wild. Sixers and Heat. It was pretty low scoring, if I'm not mistaken. It was.
I think it was
74 points.
85 was the top score, I think, for that game.
Yeah. Pretty wild. It's like Pistons 2004, like just holding teams to 70 points or whatever.
I feel like in general, we haven't seen a lot of like blowout, like 120 point games. I mean, the Suns, and I think Suns and Mavs yesterday was pretty high scoring.
Yes, I think it was.
But I think that this round of the playoffs has really solidified, like all these teams in here are good. They're the best teams in the NBA, like clearly.
Yeah, they legitimately are. And even when they're not, like, I don't know how complete the Grizzlies are, but they've got Ja, so like they're exciting. Just cool. Yeah.
But I mean, right now I think Celtics and Bucks are playing right now. So it's a good what's going on there? I have not checked the score yet, so I'm kind of playing low key until we wrap up here, and then I'll.
Do you want to know, or you?
I mean, I'll hear it if you got it.
I'll check. I'll look it up right now. And yeah, talk amongst yourselves while my phone goes. Okay, it is 29-28 in the second.
Okay, it's a close one. I feel like these two teams, in my opinion, are the best two teams in the league. I think if they could play in the finals, like that's what it should be.
Yeah, I'm a little bummed to be missing it, because I do love that series. Like Celtics just dismantling the Nets was so cool.
That game one was of the Nets series was intense.
It was. Oh, that with the ending play with like the Tatum layup or whatever, that was spectacular.
Very intense. So how are you feeling about Pistons in more recent years? I know it was a tough stretch for a bit.
It was a tough stretch. I really like Cade. I feel like he's one of those players, like, I don't know. He doesn't really play like Lonzo, but I feel like he's that kind of player where it's like, okay, I can see why this guy is good. And I think like he's going to get really good. I hope.
I totally hear that. I feel like he's one of those guys who's somehow still underrated despite being like a number one pick, like such a high pick. I feel like he'll always be like a quiet superstar.
Yeah, which I'm totally fine with. Yeah. I mean, that's like the Detroit kind of ethos in a way.
Totally.
And I remember, like, maybe my memory is like incorrect here, but I remember when LeBron entered the league, I don't think he felt like the second coming of Jordan or something. I think he felt more like, oh, this guy's all right. He'll get 19, 8 and 8 or something, and he'll be pretty good. And then there was kind of this turning point when he like understood the NBA game better, where you saw him take this leap, like maybe 3-4 years into the league. Or actually it was kind of after the Olympics, where I felt like I could see his game just like level up, exponentially or something. And I feel that we're about to get that out of Cade once it clicks for him slightly more, and his body like maybe catches up to like his talent or something. Yeah,
he had some injury issues too, which kind of got in the way of his rookie season. So he's exciting to watch. I'm very curious to what the team does. I feel like it's been kind of a dark few years before Cade, where it's like you couldn't really understand what the decisions they were making, because there's guys like Killian Hayes, and I'm like, I'm still not sold on. I don't know.
Mhm.
He could be pretty decent, but he's not like to build your team around. But Cade certainly is that. So that's exciting.
Yeah, yeah, it's cool. It's just it's like Detroit. I think we say people, can say what they will about Detroit or what it's been or what it will be, but like the kind of camaraderie and hope springing eternal, I just really like love that about this. Like we're still rooting for the Lions. The Lions haven't been good really ever, but like we show up and we root for them and we love our team, and that I just really think that's cool. So like
Totally.
it's nice that like when things start to maybe glimmers of hope start to appear, we're on board already. So that's
trust
cool.
me, as a Cubs fan, most of my life has been all about that.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, you take what you can get for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
How are the Cubs looking this year? I haven't really been following baseball at all.
Not great. I mean, they started off pretty hot. I think they're just they surprised people a little bit, but now I think they're kind of settling into, because all the big trio, the big four from the World Series team, they're all gone.
Sure.
Chris Bryant and Rizzo and all them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's like a light tank.
I feel like
they're like, we'll do like a year or two and then we'll try and get back in there.
Cool. I like that. Yeah. Yeah, if you know you're not going to win, just coast.
Yeah.
Just take it easy.
Going to Wrigley is always an amazing experience. I love it.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. I've only gone, I think, twice, but it's just magic for sure.
Sure. As growing up as a Pistons fan, do you have any like kind of memories of Pistons teams that you really loved watching? Or
the one that immediately comes to mind is I remember when we got Grant Hill. Mm-hmm. The way I remember it is his first trip down the court ended in an alley-oop dunk, and maybe that's not quite correct, but I as a kid I just remember thinking like, this guy is awesome. And like that era, the Red Wings were also really good at the time, so it was just like, even though maybe it wasn't the best time for Detroit sports, it really felt like it was, because at least the Red Wings were really good, and we had Barry Sanders around the same time, and there was something to root for all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I guess like I was in college during the championship season in 04-05. Mm-hmm. Is that what it was? 04-05. That getting on board, watching every game with my friends, that was just really special.
I mean, that was an exciting team.
It was really fun. And I kind of want a friend of mine from that group just rewatched that finals against Shaq and Kobe. Mm-hmm. And he said upon rewatching, it doesn't look like the Pistons were built perfectly to take down the Giants. It seems more like the Lakers were imploding. Yeah. So I don't really want to know that. I prefer to think of it as like, we played the right way and we had the right pieces, and there was never a chance for anybody to beat us. But
it was a very deep team.
It was, yeah. Even like Corliss Williamson and whatever, Mehmet Okur, I think, was on the team still. Whatever, yeah, it's cool.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember where you were for the Malice at the Palace?
I do. I absolutely do. Yeah. It was in our same apartment, and my brother was visiting, my younger brother, and he was, hanging with us college kids watching the Pistons, and we were all super excited. And it was really like kind of eerie and freaky, because I was trying to like show my brother a good time, and we were all kind of like, what is this? Is like scary. This is weird. And then we all immediately, of course, bought tickets to the next time the Pacers came to town, and we made signs, and like they wouldn't let us bring in the signs,
and of course not,
because they were too weird and mean. But yes. Where were you? Did you watch it?
That was intense. I don't think I was watching it live, but I think I saw it like that night on SportsCenter, and I was so fascinated. And it's also that era, like, is kind of like it's part of that weird lost digital era where like all the formats just switched over to be digital, and like any sports highlight is like awful quality because all the compression is just like super high.
Oh, interesting.
So
it was like before we had that dialed in really well.
Totally. And
but it was
we were experimenting with it, but then
I
also feel like it was early in like YouTube. And I think the NBA was really trying hard to like scrub that out of existence.
Whoa.
like as if like they felt really embarrassed by it, obviously, and like it's almost
Sure.
like you couldn't find a good like video of it to watch.
Funny. Yeah, I guess I haven't tried, but that's
Yeah,
so funny to think about.
but
Like, yeah, that was right
now
at that
now that the
turning point.
documentary's out, I mean
Sure.
that was really, really interesting watch. I don't know if you
Yeah.
caught that.
I actually didn't. I it's on my list, and I'm kind of like afraid to watch it because I've heard that they don't look favorably upon Detroit and the fans. So
Yeah, there's
I'm a little freaked out to watch it, but I
there
mean I
is
will at some point.
there is definitely like race discussions involved and things like that, but
Sure. Which I
it's
mean, all important to talk about for sure. But
absolutely, but at the very least it's interesting to finally see that in such high definition.
yeah, for sure. Wow. Yeah, I do. I need to watch it. I need to just
Yeah,
bite the bullet. Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like we're at a good point if you want to hop into our game and do our little musician matchup where I sent you a list
Sure.
of players, and
Okay.
basically how it works is we have a couple players. We'll try and come up with what represents them as a band, whether it's how they sound or how they act or the era, whatever it is.
Cool.
Coming up with the justification is the fun part, basically.
Awesome. Love it.
So we're all doing all Pistons players, and we will start with Isaiah Thomas. And we'll go back and forth. You'll do one, I'll do one.
Okay. As a band, Isaiah Thomas. I think that Isaiah Thomas was not, and granted, I was a child, watching Isaiah play. So my memories of him are more, I think of him, I guess, in a modern mold, more of a Chris Paul type of facilitator. I don't know if that's accurate at all.
No, it totally is. Yeah.
Like he could play. He wasn't a great shooter, but he could kind of shoot.
He was pass first for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good defender.
God, this is so hard. What band is pass first, but a good defender? He was consistent. I think of Joe Dumars more as being a consistent player. Right. Isaiah had these flashes of brilliance. So in terms of flashes of brilliance, consistent.
He was also among a group of players who were, he was in the Jordan era. He was in, Reggie Miller. Like he was among a group of players there were quite loud players, but I feel like he was loud, but like he didn't quite ever surpass that bar. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah. It's tough to be in a league with Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And,
right.
And have a identity, I guess, really to that degree. Yeah, I don't know what bands even exist.
So
I only know 3 bands: the Beatles, the Beach Boys, and Weezer. So Weezer 94 to 96.
Where I was going with it was basically I went with a 90s band because he's a 90s player.
Okay.
And what I was just saying, it was he never quite got the attention he deserved among those, other great players, and he was always outshined by others, unfortunately. So I went with the band Far with Jonah Matrenga.
Oh, interesting.
So it's like they were in that like 90s grunge, but like they were a little quieter, they never quite got to that attention level.
That's fascinating. Okay.
I'm going deep with it.
Maybe it's just because it's another 3-letter name, but I also think like Hum or Low or something could also be like they were just kind of like, well, although Low is still making records.
Totally.
That is really fascinating. Far.
Yeah.
Or like Candlebox or something.
Right. Yeah. Totally. Like Candlebox obviously wasn't Nirvana. Like, if Michael Jordan's Nirvana and Pearl Jam.
Totally. That's so funny. Yeah. Okay. So if we're going 90s, like what other like spiritualized? I don't know. Yeah, Far is really good. I like Far.
I feel like they've kind of more 2000s and 2010s. They still keep putting out some stuff.
Right. They actually just had a new record like a month ago or something. Yeah. True.
All right. How about Ben Wallace? He's a very iconic player. I mean, he's very strong. Obviously he's the afro is like literally iconography, but I feel like he is like, he's a presence. Obviously, he's a defensive presence.
Yeah. I don't, my first thought is the Melvins
Ooh, yes.
or like
I mean,
Buzzcocks or something.
He's definitely got like a heavy sound regardless. Like,
yeah. Yeah, he's strong. He's kind of industrial. He's visually striking. He's like maybe the most visually recognizable Piston.
maybe he's like a 9 Inch Nails even.
Oh, that's fascinating. Or would he be a hairband? Would he be like
He certainly,
Poison
yeah,
or something?
if you're going with that, with the afro, yeah. I mean,
Although we don't need to dwell too much on the fro. But yeah, he puts in the work, going to work every night. He was like kind of the identity of the Pistons, like very workmanlike and very like, I heard that he used to like after Pistons games, he would go to the gym and like do like 500 bench presses or whatever. Like he would like have so much energy and be so charged up that he would just like still need to get it out.
Which, by the way, I mean, looks wise, he has aged like fine wine. I mean, he's really embraced the gray. And like,
I haven't seen him.
He's
lately.
got like short hair now, and he's got like a nice little like gray goatee going and beard going.
Cool.
He's aged quite well. He wears the glasses, you know.
Nice. I like that.
Got a
Is
good
he?
look on.
I think he's like a part owner or a full owner of like a either not a WNBA franchise, but some kind of team.
I could see that. Yeah, definitely. I think he's still pretty involved, regardless.
That's pretty cool.
In basketball stuff. Yeah.
He's a perfect like mentor. Other things to consider band wise, like a mentor for like younger players because of like the knowing the amount of work it takes to make something happen. Like he's almost like a Springsteen type, where it's like he can show somebody the ropes of like, this is what it takes. It takes everything. It does. You don't just drift into this. Like it's a life, and it's a life that you don't just give up.
And I feel like that's a mentorship that's extended beyond playing too. And
yeah.
And that's, I think, Springsteen too. He never stops being like that. I like that.
Yeah. He's got an arm out for the younger generation.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know. he was probably actually Tayshaun Prince is my favorite. Now I don't want to jump ahead into anyone you might be mentioning, but my favorite player off those teams I think was either Rip or Tayshaun. Actually, no, I take it back. It's Sheed. I love Sheed.
Come on, she's too fun.
He's so fun.
Well, let's get into our next one then. Let's talk about Rip Hamilton.
Let's indeed talk about Rip Hamilton.
I mean,
Orville Peck. I don't know.
You got the mask going. I like that. That's interesting. I think from play style wise, he's kind of like calculated, right?
Yeah.
He's very like kind of, he's got like a nerdy game, you know.
He does, and he never stops though too. He runs constantly, but it's like very much like it's like math. Maybe it's like math rock. It's like American football or minus the bear pinback or something. Is pinback math rock?
Yeah. Math rock adjacent.
Yeah. What do you think about Rip?
Well, you were going with all the noodly tones, and I totally get that.
He's skinny. I don't know.
Right. Because I mentioned nerdy but talented, and I think we're on the same page because like they're kind of mathy too. I went to Anamanaguchi.
Oh, cool.
Which is like, it's like, you know, they do like the chiptune video game stuff, but like they're so talented, and like it's very, it kind of transcends being just kind of, you know, nerdy in that sense, and you see the talent come through.
Totally. There's another band that just made me think of, but then it jumped out of my brain immediately. less chiptune-y. Oh, it was Pavement.
Oh, sure.
Because they're kind of noodly and rangy, and they've got this kind of like, although they or maybe just like Stephen Malkmus in general, right. Like him as the Rip Hamilton equivalent somehow, because he's still going.
Oh, absolutely. He never stops.
And Pavement they were gonna do reunion shows in like Primavera or something.
Oh, that would have been awesome. Yeah.
I think they got canceled because of COVID. Maybe I don't know what's going on there, but
yeah, when I talked with Joe Plummer, he said Stephen Malkmus is also he's very good at basketball.
Oh, is he? Of course he is.
Yeah. That's exactly what he said. He's like, of course he is. He's freaking good at everything.
Yeah, he's the best. That makes a lot of sense. Of course, he's probably like a great outside shooter, but also like it's probably all elbow and like, I don't know. Do you play much basketball?
I just got back into a league recently. I had been out of commission for a couple of years. It's been obviously, COVID and everything. Haven't played in a while, but
Sure.
yeah, I'm starting to get back into it. It's exciting and also exhausting.
Yeah. Oh, it's like it is the best workout. It's so fun.
The best workout.
So
It's
exhausting.
definitely my favorite form because you get your cardio, but it's also structured.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, it's so easy. Like what I always tell like my girlfriend is that like I don't want to run on a treadmill. Like I hate it. But like if there's a loose ball, I will give everything to get that loose ball.
Right. If I can count stats,
I didn't think about it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Don't give me my stats on my running. I don't want to see that. It's more depressing.
Yeah. Right.
All right. So our next one, we talked about him a little earlier, Grant Hill.
Grant Hill. I think of Grant Hill as elegant. He's like stately. He's skilled. Like on NBA 2K, he would, I think, be like straight 80s across the board.
Yeah.
Maybe a little higher, but he's like well-rounded, complete.
Sure.
There's nothing he can't do, but there's nothing he's
There's
like
no
really
glaring
exquisite
weakness.
at.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's a band like that? I don't know, like a pretty darn good band.
I mean, where I was going with this is too, I'm at, it's all of that. And I'm also adding into the mix that like what you were saying earlier with kind of, you saw him as your representation of Detroit Pistons a little bit growing up.
Sure.
And a representation of Detroit, I think, would be the White Stripes.
Oh,
so
I think that's in line with like what I was saying.
Yeah.
Although I would say that the White Stripes are incredible. Like,
yeah, of course.
Like you can't fuck with like Icky Thump or Seven Nation Army or whatever.
One of the best like guitarists of like this generation. Like, he's amazing.
He's amazing. But yeah, but I would say Grant Hill too, like embodies that like flashes of complete timeless brilliance.
Yeah.
But then also gets the job done.
Sure.
Very well most of the time.
And if we want to like limit it down to specifically Jack White, I'd say he was a little bit on his own on the Pistons a little bit. I don't know that he had too much help on those teams.
He was. Did he didn't overlap with AI at all, did he?
No.
I think he was long gone by then.
I would say I think Chauncey Billups and AI definitely overlapped.
Yes, I think so. Allen Houston Houston might have been
Grant Hill. I always think of the really kind of ugly teal turquoise jerseys.
Yeah, that was the era for sure. God, what a tragedy.
And that's saying a lot because I can't remember many other people on the Grant Hill era Pistons.
Yeah. Allen Houston jumps to mind, but that's the only one, and I don't even know if that's accurate or not. That's good though. White Stripes are so good. Every once in a while, I'll just like do a deep dive all over again and just be like, this is unbelievably good.
Jack White just dropped a new one too.
Right. I've only heard the single, but
same.
I'm sure it's great.
Yeah.
He never misses.
Of course. Lastly, we'll do the young rook, Cade Cunningham.
Oh boy.
So this may be a good opportunity. Maybe there's a newer band. Maybe there's a young band that people need to know about.
I really like that band Pup.
Oh yes, I almost picked Pup.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they're young, flashes of brilliance. They might be an all-time great. You don't know yet. Absolutely. Maybe they're gonna be there. I don't know.
Definitely.
What were you thinking for him?
So I mean, I feel like because he is a rookie, I'm going with someone who put out a debut album and is using it as an opportunity to like let people know about a band they may have never heard of, and that's a band called Mr. Goblin from Indiana.
Oh, I have not heard them.
Very Mr. good. Goblin. Album came out last week. Definitely has like a little bit. You ever listen to No Knife?
Yeah. Okay.
There's a little bit like a No Knife sound. There's kind of that like mid 2000s kind of like post hardcore elements to it a little bit.
Cool. I like that this is like re-seeping into like the modern like I feel like Turnstile is another band where it's like that stuff is so good, and like this influence that kind of like disappeared for a minute is now back, and I'm so excited about it.
You can see that at all levels. Like, I mean, when you look at pop music, like, Olivia Rodrigo going with the kind of Paramore
totally
kind of vibe, and it's just everything in general. Fashion goes back to
totally
retro too. So I'm glad kind of the indie music scene is doing that as well. I'm a big fan of Turnstile and Pup.
So good.
Definitely some good stuff.
So wait, if we're done with that, do you ever go the other way and like compare a band to players?
I haven't yet. And
Okay.
it does seem like a challenge, but if you have one, let's try and do it.
I would like to know who are the Beastie Boys?
I mean,
Who is the Beastie Boys?
jumping into my mind, I wanted to immediately compare the Beastie Boys to the Bad Boys.
Oh, totally. Yeah, kind of revolutionary, a little rough
Yeah.
around the edges. Sure. Yeah,
And
yeah.
rough around the edges. They shocked a lot of people.
Yeah.
And was Bad Boys more of a trio, or was it beyond that? Because you had Lambier, Rodman.
Lambier, Dumars.
I guess that's those three.
Oh, he's not. Well, were the Bad Boys the team, or was it more like Lambier, Rodman, and like Rick Mahorn? Was Rick Mahorn one of them?
That's one thing I never know. It was like, whereas the Bad Boys, yeah, was it the team or like the people who did the intimidation?
Right. I always thought about it as the team, but like, I don't know that you could say Isaiah Thomas was like a bad boy.
I mean, they all came together, but Lambier and Rodman are the first ones that come to my mind for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Phil Lambier. Yeah. He was kind of the baddest of the boys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I feel like that's an interesting comparison. I mean, unless you wanted to go like true to like location, maybe there's like a Knicks player or that would kind of fit into that.
John Starks or something.
Or maybe even like because they were pretty intense. So I don't know if there's like a intense Knicks player that I can think of.
True.
Like Chris Dudley.
Right, Chris Dudley.
Going the basketball.
Right.
I feel like Bad Boys are a solid fit for that.
Yeah,
especially
I like
if you're
that.
going for a group.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
it's right in with the Pistons.
Who are the Splash Brothers as a concept? Like, I don't think the Beastie Boys are the Splash Brothers, but like, is there?
No. That's interesting because they're flashy. They are obviously like it's pretty effortless in what they do.
Yeah. Like Simon and Garfunkel or something.
The duo. So, but now we have the new issue. I feel like Jordan Poole is like the third Splash Brother now.
So that's I'm glad we're digging into this. Is he?
I mean, I saw someone say online, you can't have the Splash Brothers without a little Poole.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah. And I agree. I think like he's that good. He's so good.
I think he definitely should have been in conversation for most improved player.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think.
Okay. And another Splash. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say on the most improved player, I think John Morant, obviously amazing, but I think that award should be more for someone who exceeded expectations. I feel like we all knew Ja was going to play like that.
Totally. Yeah. We could kind of see it coming.
So I feel like
what does the award mean?
That's exactly. I feel like it's more like a DeJounte Murray or Jordan Poole, like would have Desmond Bain would have been. I mean, he gave the award to Desmond Bain, so
that's pretty cool. Yeah. It's weird. It's like do you give it to did Giannis win it like a couple years ago? Because he like stepped
I think he might have
again to
exactly.
Another, like
it seems like now they're just treating that award as like the road to MVP, future MVP.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
So that's interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, you were saying something about Splash Brothers.
I was going to say back to the 75 conversation, the 75 best. Yes. Clay getting left off of that, I thought was unfair. I think Clay is really, really good.
I agree. I think he's definitely like he would be like 74 or 75 to me. Okay. I think the recency bias, and maybe not even bias, but he was out for 2 years, Sure. It's kind of hard to judge, like say Derrick Rose, like,
right.
Derrick Rose was incredible for 3 to 4 years. And then I don't know, if he kept that up, obviously he would have been, if they did the 75 list in 2011, would he be on there? I think he definitely would.
Yeah, for sure.
But, the range of someone's career really adds to that value, I think. And he missed a lot of time. He's getting back in there now, though. I think he would obviously make his case.
I hope he continues to be around. I mean, he's been around a long time. He's not going away. Like, he's great.
Because you just don't know. Sometimes people like, they get through injury and they just are never the same again. So It was really
Yeah.
hard at the time to make that judgment to say, yeah, it's top 75, but
Sure.
I understand why people would want him in there because he's so freaking good.
Yeah. He's got a real clean shot. I'm excited about this wave of like Achilles recoveries. I feel like
Yeah.
that's kind of exciting and cool. Like Kobe was pretty good after his Achilles injury, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And it would appear that Durant is just as brilliant as ever.
I mean, he came back and was strong right away.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, it's good news for, the surgical technology and
yeah.
great
Why
sports
not?
doctors out there.
Totally. Yeah, yeah. What a time to be an Achilles specialist.
Right. Totally. Well, cool, man. I mean, this was a lot of fun. Talking some hoops and doing our little
Yeah.
comparisons.
Yeah, yeah. What else? Do you got any more? You got any more comparisons?
Not really. I only had the 5 Pistons ones going. In the past, because you're actually the first Pistons fan I've had on the podcast, which is great. I've had plenty of Raptors and Philly fans, and
Oh, sure.
but the other game, if I've already done this game with someone from that team, I'll do. We can hop into this right now if you think. It's make a band out of NBA players.
Like assemble a band?
Yeah, like who plays what? What do they sound like?
Oh, I love this. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Well, who's like the lead singer? Is there a front man, or is it kind of like
it's this band's whatever
dual?
You want. I had on Ryan from Man, he said he had Pat Beverly playing the dumpster.
Cool.
Yeah, he got really weird with it. So
I like that a lot. Wow. Pat Bev.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one to go off the dome. So no pressure.
It really is. This is a lot.
It takes some prep.
About. Yeah. Yeah.
But
maybe for a future. Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
I feel like I would want like Gilbert Arenas to be involved in some capacity.
Always. I mean, I feel like Gilbert Arenas should be like the vocalist in like a hardcore band. I wonder if he like has aspirations. I would love to like write a song with him. I think he's so cool. Oh man, ever since I started indie basketball, it's like my dream is to like do some sort of player and musician collab.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Basketball. It's
awesome.
Gotta happen.
Yeah. I wonder, I mean, we don't have to dig too deeply into this because I know it's something that we would both want to put some more thought into, but like Syd Barrett founded Pink Floyd,
right?
Kind of left, kind of went a little cuckoo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you could claim that Gilbert has gone cuckoo at all, but like he certainly to me represents some kind of like mystical idealism.
He certainly uses a lot of emojis on Instagram.
Oh, I don't follow him. I should. Okay.
His captions are always like a whole paragraph and there's like an emoji like every other word.
Sick. All right.
He's wild.
Cool.
I love Gil though. He makes a lot of podcast appearances too.
Nice. Yeah, he seems like a deep thinker.
Yeah, definitely. But all right, yeah, let's not rush the band. Let's not rush making a band. But we had some solid matchups. We had some good Pistons talk.
For sure.
But thanks again for joining, dude.
Yeah, thank you. Great talking with you.
Hope you enjoy the rest of the NBA playoffs.
Sounds good. Yeah, you too. Oh wait, who do you think's gonna win?
I think we're gonna get a rematch of last year. We're gonna get Bucks versus Suns, and I think the Suns are gonna pull it out.
I'd be all right with that.
Yeah, I think so too.
I
think if it ended up being Suns versus Celtics, I'd be cool with that.
That would be really good basketball. Either way, that'd be good basketball.
I like the Timberwolves and the Grizzlies, and who had that series was just so fun. And whoever won that series, I was going to be excited to like. I just hope they keep going, but both those teams were too young. Sure. Yeah. Grizzlies are going to be around for a long time. They're going to be good forever. Jaw's awesome. He's breaking out for sure. Yeah. I say go Suns. All right. Cool. For sure. What about you? I'm with you. I think the logical side of me thinks you're correct. I think that's it. I think that's exactly how it's going to play out. I also would really love to see Steph drop 50 points a game for the rest of his life. Steph and Clay 50-50 nights back to, I would love for the Warriors to get it back. I mean, imagine just like if when you look at it, like take a step back and look at it, like NBA finals, and, playoffs. Then they were the second overall pick in the draft, and they were the worst team in the league. Second worst team in the league.
Yeah.
And that in the next year, they're already back to NBA finals.
It's pretty insane. It just speaks so highly of like what kind of talent, just rare special talent they've got.
Absolutely. There's a very good chance that they knock it out of the park.
That'd be cool. I mean, Suns Warriors would be a great series either way.
That'd be intense. Yeah.
I hope we get to see that, because that would be very fun.
For sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, all right, man.
Let's watch the end of that Celtics Bucks game.
Yeah. Sounds good.